Hello, first grade scientists and engineers. It's me, Mr. B, looking outside my office, also called the cat room. And it is a beautiful sunny day here in southeast Wisconsin. Our goal in this video is to, Our goal here is to shift from our exploration of the sun to using what we've learned about the sun to explore and understand what we're seeing when we look at the moon. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to watch and guide you through 3 short videos about the moon, and then I'm going to give you directions on how to complete the activity at the end of the lesson. So the first video is it's a really cool National Geographic video about the history of the moon and kind of just a nice short 3-minute overview of the moon. And then we're going to watch 2 videos that explain some of the details about the moon, including how we see the moon and some of the history of our travel to the moon and some of what you'll see on the moon. All right, so the first video we're going to watch, it's a National Geographic video, and it's called Moon 101. It's going to start here. Now, if you want to watch these videos on your computer, I have put links to them in my shared folder. If you go to my shared folder, and if you click on the science folder, you'll see the videos there. If you can't access them in my shared folder, I will put them in Mrs. Bergen's shared folder. But hopefully this view here will work for you as well. By the way, this picture at the start of this video, that is not the moon.
Over 150 moons orbit the solar system's planets, and one of those moons calls Earth home. The moon was formed about 4.5 billion years ago when, according to one theory, the Earth slammed into another early planet. Debris from this collision began to orbit Earth and accumulated, forming today's moon. The moon is the 5th largest natural satellite in the solar system, with a diameter just under the... It's composed of an iron-rich core, plus a mantle and crust containing minerals made of magnesium, oxygen, and silicon. The moon's surface was once geologically active and covered in an ocean of magma. But today, apart from traces of water ice, the surface is completely covered in dust and rocky debris. Countless craters dot the moon's surface, each formed by objects such as meteoroids, comets, and asteroids crashing onto the moon. The largest crater, the South Pole Aitken Basin, spans across a quarter of the moon's surface and is nearly deep enough to fit Mount Everest inside. The moon orbits our planet at an average distance of 30 Earths. It rotates at the same rate that it revolves. So as it revolves around our planet, the same side of the moon faces the Earth at all times. From the Earth's surface, we can observe 8 distinct, traditionally recognized stages of the moon's illumination. Called lunar phases, they have been observed for thousands of years and even provided the basis for the earliest calendars. For most of human history, the moon could only be studied from afar. But on July 20th, 1969, humans were able to close that distance with the American spaceflight mission Apollo 11.
That's one small step for man, one die on wheat for mankind.
It placed humans on the moon for the very first time, bringing our understanding of Earth's only natural satellite one step closer.
All right, so that is the National Geographic video about the moon. So now we are going to watch this video that's going to tell us some information about some of the history of the moon, the features of the moon, and also how we see the moon. But before we start that, one really important piece of information that was in the National Geographic video is how the moon was formed. And if you remember, there was that really cool model of what scientists think happened is they think that Earth collided with another planet or moon, and in that collision, some of the debris from that collision spun off and started spinning or orbiting around the Earth, and that's where the moon came from, and that's why it orbits the Earth. There was a collision, and the material from that collision was captured by the gravity of Earth, and it orbits around Earth. All right, here we go, our second video about the moon.
The Moon, Part 1. People love to look at the moon at night. But the moon is so bright in the sky that we can even see it during the day. The moon looks especially pretty reflected in water. The moon goes around and around the Earth. The moon orbits the Earth. As the moon travels around the Earth, the moon looks like it changes. This video is made from a whole month of pictures. When the moon is between the sun and the Earth, we can't see the moon. It is a new moon. Then we see a crescent moon. It is waxing. That means it's getting bigger. And bigger. And bigger. It is waxing. Now it is a quarter moon, but sometimes this is called a half moon. Now the moon is gibbous. It is bigger than half. It is still waxing. Finally, the moon is full. It looks like a big full circle. Until now, the moon was waxing. Next, it is going to get smaller. It will start waning. Now the moon is waning, getting smaller. It is gibbous again. It's waning some more. And now it's a half moon, or quarter moon, again. It's a crescent moon again, still waning. Still waning. This crescent moon is almost gone. Look at the next page. When the moon is between the Earth and the sun, it is a new moon, and you can't see it. But when the moon is away from the sun, it is full. So the new moon is here when the moon is in between the Earth and the sun. And the full moon is over here when the moon is away from the sun. You know that the sun makes shadows on the ground like this. Did you know that the whole Earth has a shadow? Yes, it does. It has a big shadow. What happens when the moon moves into the Earth's shadow? We see a lunar eclipse. It looks like this. The shadow is round, isn't it? That is because the Earth is round. Usually, the Earth's shadow looks reddish on the moon, like this. And doesn't the moon have a shadow? Yes, look. The sunlight comes from this direction. And over here is the moon's shadow. And sometimes the Earth goes into the moon's shadow. That is called a solar eclipse. Here is what the moon's shadow looks like on the Earth. See the dark spot? It is the moon's shadow. What if you're standing inside that dark spot? What does it look like when the moon goes in front of the sun? Like this. Total solar eclipse. During a total solar eclipse, it looks like it is night outside. The end.
Okay, so
Have fun and learn math at the same time with Adapt.
that's interesting. So, one of the really, really important things in that video is the fact that the phases of the moon are what is the result of the fact that we only see the moon from the reflection of the sunlight on the moon. So when the moon is between the earth and sun, we cannot see the moon because what's facing us is the dark side of the moon. The lit up side of the moon is on the other side of the moon, facing the sun. Let me show you the part of the video, not this one. Guess it was this one. Hold on. I'm going to go back to that part. Here.
The moon.
So I'm going to fast forward
People love to look at the moon at
Hold on.
night.
to the part of the video that shows what I'm talking about. So we went through all the phases here. Okay, whoops, got to get rid of the ads. Okay, so here is a diagram of the sun, the earth, and the orbit of the moon around the earth. When the moon is between the sun and the earth, the only side of the moon that we see is the side that's not capturing the light waves of the sun. And so we don't see the moon, we call it a new moon. As the moon goes around, we see, at this point, we see half of the moon, and we only see half of the moon, the half that is facing us, so we call it a quarter moon. By the time the moon gets over to this side, now the full light rays of the sun can reflect off the side of the moon facing us, and then they come to Earth. We see half of the moon, but we see the whole half that's facing us, so it looks like a full moon. When it comes back up here, it gets back to being a quarter moon. And I guess actually, according to this diagram, this is the first quarter, so we go from here. This is what it looks like, just darkness. Here, it looks like a quarter moon. Here, it's a full moon, and then back here, it's another quarter moon. The point is, the only way we see the moon is when the light rays reflect off the moon and come down to Earth. The moon does not create its own light. All it does is reflect the rays of the sun, the light waves, some of which come down to Earth for us, and they enter our eye so that we can see part or full half of the moon. So keep that in mind because we're going to be using that information later. But for now, let's go to the next video of the moon.
Part 2. Sometimes people look up at the moon and they think they see the man in the moon. And sometimes they see a rabbit in the moon. But there is no man or rabbit in the moon, and it is not made of green cheese. Did Wallace really eat a piece of moon cheese? The moon is really a big rock. The same side of the moon always faces the Earth. So this side is the same as this, and this, and this, and this. It's all the same side, always facing the Earth. From the Earth, we only see this side, called the near side. But here is the far side of the moon. We have to send a spacecraft out to take pictures of the far side of the moon. Here are the near and far sides together. Remember, you can find the near and far side of the moon on your moon globe if you have one. On the near side, there are many dark flat areas called maria. Do you see Mare Tranquillitatis? Here it is. Here is Mare Tranquillitatis, which means the sea of tranquility or peacefulness, up close. See how it is flat and dark? It is not water. It is a flat plain. The space trip that brought the first men to the moon, Apollo 11, landed on the Sea of Tranquility. Here it is. That is Mare Tranquillitatis. It is called a sea, but it is not water. See how flat it is. The astronaut is Buzz Aldrin. But there are also mountains on the moon, like these right here and here. If you were on the moon mountains would look like this. The moon also has many craters, big and small. Like this famous crater called Copernicus, which has many rays coming out from it. See the crater? It's right here. See the rays? Here's a really big one. And there's a bunch here. Here's another one. A crater is made when a space rock, called a meteor, crashes into the moon. Here is a video of a small meteor hitting the moon. Watch for it here. Poof. What happens when a meteor hits the moon? This. Is this a moon crater? No. It is an Earth crater in Arizona. Meteors can hit the Earth too. Let us go closer to the Copernicus crater on the moon. If you flew around the moon to Copernicus, what would it look like? Like this. The end.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed those videos of the moon. If you want to learn more about the phases of the moon, I've put another link in the lesson plan for you to look at. And I've also put a link where you can go to get information about the phases of the moon, the schedule for the different phases of the moon, and the times when they would be visible at night here in southeast Wisconsin. So that's something extra that you can do. But what I'd like you to do this week, and hopefully today or soon, is print off this paper from the link in the lesson. It says Activity 2, Patterns of the Moon. Write your name and number at the top. So if you're in Mrs. Bergen's class, I would be number 9. I would be number 20. If you're in my class, I would be number 19. So what we're going to do here, the directions are the directions that we would have followed if we were in our classroom. We're going to modify the directions a little bit since we are at home. So the directions say to glue or tape your moon below. If we were at school, we would have made kind of a collage of the moon that we would be putting in this space. Unfortunately, we cannot do that. So what we are going to do instead is, it says draw a yellow sun and a blue earth. Show how the light from the sun reflects off the moon to the earth. Instead, what I would like you to do in this space is we're going to draw a picture that shows how it is that we see the moon. So the bottom part is going to be the earth, and it doesn't have to be the whole earth, just a section of the earth. So I would draw like this is a section of the earth, and it's okay to do a stick figure here because this is just a diagram. And then we need space for the sun and for the moon. So we don't have to have the whole sun because we don't have a lot of space here. So I'm just going to, up here, put a portion of the sun. And it's really important to label everything. So we're going to write sun here. We're going to write earth here. And I'm going to label this is me. Okay. And then there's going to be a moon. Now, if we were at school, we would have made the moon out of aluminum foil just because it's very reflective. If you have a little piece of aluminum foil at home and want to cut out a circle and glue that on here, that would be really cool. But if you don't, it's okay to just draw the moon. Okay. Make sure you label it. Okay, now I would like you to, if you can, color the sun yellow, color the moon. Of course, it's reflecting the sun's light waves, so you can also color the moon a shade of yellow. Really important is to include the light waves because this is showing how we see the sun. So we're going to draw some light waves, which are curvy. 2 or 3 is enough. Label them light waves. Now, some of those light waves hit the moon and they reflect off the moon. So we want to have them reflecting off the moon and going to us. So either in this space or this space, you want to write, label what's happening. They're reflecting off of the moon and going into our eyes. Okay, so a picture like this, make sure you have your labels and make sure you have the light waves. In fact, you could draw a line from the word light waves to these light waves going between the sun and the moon, and these light waves that reflected off the moon and went to our eyes. Okay, then at the bottom of the page, you're going to fill in the missing words. So it says light from the blank reflects off the blank and into our eyes. And your choices are sun and moon. So what word would go here? Light from the, if you're not sure, look up here. Where did the light waves start? That's what goes here. Then what did they reflect off of? That word goes there. When you're done with the page, please again try to color it in. You can color in the earth is supposed to be blue. Most of what we see on the earth is the blue from the water if you're in space. So the space can be dark and the moon can be yellowish or lightish. So color it in, make sure it's nice and neat. When you're done, please have your mom or dad send me a picture of this paper no later than next Sunday night, which is, let's see, May 10th. All right, thanks a lot, first grade, and may the 4th be with you.